Thumbs up. Everybody can see my screen. Yes? Cool. Awesome. All right. So you're here today because we're talking about how dieting should be done. And you'll see our little tagline at the bottom that says, because you deserve better than a 5% success rate. And there's been lots of research done on conventional dieting. And unfortunately, there's only a 5% chance of losing weight using a conventional diet and keeping it off. 95% of people lose weight, but unfortunately they gain it all back. And this is why, if you follow along with my content on social media, I'm obsessed with sustainability, because if we can't keep it off, what the heck is the point of losing it in the first place? Especially since yo-yo dieting does more damage to our health, both mental and physical. So I've been doing this for a while now. I have come up with a lot of evidence-based research that dictates how we should be dieting, even if weight loss is the goal, and gives us a much better success rate than 5%. So I want to talk to you all about that today. We're going to dive right in. But first, let's talk about what current conventional dieting looks like. The definition of dieting is right here on the screen: to restrict oneself to small amounts or special kinds of food in order to lose weight. Examples might include Weight Watchers. You count points. What that does is it restricts high calorie foods. So a high calorie food, say for example, an avocado, has more points than a lower calorie food like spinach. So you are restricting those higher calorie foods so that you can stay within your points. Keto restricts all carbohydrates. Once again, this is creating a caloric deficit. So by cutting out a food group entirely, you're likely to eat fewer calories. Take intermittent fasting, for example. You eat within an 8-hour feeding window. So maybe from noon to 8 p.m., you decide you're going to eat all your food in that window. Is there magic to this? Nope. You're just not eating for the remaining hours of the day. So you are restricting the time in which you can eat, which restricts calories. Take any other diet. I've listed Whole30 here as an example, but they cut dairy, they cut most grains, they cut sugar. All of these things cut calories. The only way for us to lose body fat is to be in a caloric deficit. Now, that doesn't sound so bad, right? Like caloric deficit. Okay, I get that. That's science. We can't find any other way to create fat loss, but there's more. Because current diet culture tells us that there's a certain kind of aesthetic. There is a body ideal, and it's our job to do everything we can to embody that ideal. Meaning, if you don't look like this, whatever this cultural ideal is in our day and time, well, you're not going to be beautiful enough. You're not going to be thin enough. You're not going to be pretty enough. You're not going to be desirable enough. And if you do achieve this thing, you're going to be the most worthy, lovable enough person there ever was. And as humans, we don't want anything more. We all want to feel lovable and desired and like we belong and like we're enough. So we do everything in our power to embody that ideal, which means we probably do some really unsafe and unhealthy things. Diet culture knows this, and they exploit our desires. So they sell us these quick fixes and slimy solutions, and they say, but hey, even though it's going to suck, you're going to be beautiful afterwards. You're going to be thin afterwards. You're going to be everything you've ever wanted, you're going to be in 30 days if you do X, Y, and Z. So thinking about things like 30-day diets and detoxes and cleanses and elimination diets where you cut out entire food groups, or aggressive workout challenges, shakes, supplements, etc. These are the things that we continually subscribe to repeatedly because they promise us weight loss, but underneath it all, behind the curtain, they're promising us worthiness. You're going to be a better person. You're going to be more desired in our current culture if you do these things. Here's the problem with that. We never get anywhere. This is just a hamster wheel. And diet culture knows this, which is why it's a billion-dollar industry. They're just taking your money because we try the quick fix. Think of any number that you've tried. It works temporarily, but we can't stick with it. We don't enjoy it. We feel like garbage. And as a result, we end up right back where we started. We quit. It's not sustainable. I actually just had a woman send me a message 2 days ago, and she said, Nicole, I'm doing a weight management program through my hospital. So a health promoting organization. And she said, the key to what I'm doing is to supplement 2 meals a day with a meal replacement shake. She said, I've been doing it for 2 weeks. I already hate my life and I'm so bored. And I was like, so it doesn't sound like that's very sustainable. Let's talk about what you can do to create the same caloric deficit, but in a way that doesn't make you hate your life. When you fail this kind of thing, you feel more hopeless. You feel more frustrated because now you've just confirmed that this doesn't work. You're never going to get there. And behind the curtain, according to diet culture, you've just proved that you're less than because you didn't attain that thin, lean aesthetic that they promised you would if you followed all the rules. But because you couldn't follow the rules, you suck. When in reality, it was the plan that was faulty to begin with. This is what we're working with. So let's change it because clearly it doesn't work. No wonder there's only a 5% success rate. If we want to create lasting change and sustainable fat loss, which means, yes, I'm going to lose body weight, but I'm also going to keep it off. I'm going to be able to maintain my results, which is really where the breakdown occurs. We have to accept these 5 truths. I'm going to share 5 truths with you, and I really want you to think about them. Number 1, we need to accept that there is no such thing as an ideal body. Bodies are all good bodies. They come in different shapes, different sizes, and there is no wrong or best way to have a body. So any plan, program, meal menu that is promising you that you're going to look like this, basically bullshit, because they can't promise you that, right? I once saw a physical therapist and he's very curt. And he said, I had a client come to me and she said, well, I want to look like this very long, lean, muscle dancer friend that I have. And he was like, okay, let me give you a terrible analogy. If you have a friend, let's say she's a poodle for all of the dog lovers out there, you have more of a pit bull style body, right? Like just genetically, you're born a pit bull and I can't turn you into a poodle. I can't give you magic exercises. I can't give you a magic diet that is going to take you, a pit bull, and make you a poodle. What I can do is give you a strong strength training program. I can talk to you about how to lose body fat using a caloric deficit and a healthy diet. And I can make you a stronger, leaner pit bull. So you can get super healthy, but you're always going to be a pit bull because that's just who you are. Bodies are different, just like dog breeds are different. Some of us carry more muscle, some of our bone structure is different. Some of us just carry more body fat than others. And so we have to let go of the belief that we can all look the same if we eat right and exercise well, because that's just not the case. We will always be different. Number 2, we need to accept that our value, our worthiness, and our lovableness is not something that we can earn or something that's influenced by how we look or what we eat. These things are our birthright. Accepting this, number 2, is by definition a rejection of diet culture. And this is why I always put hashtag diet culture dropout on a lot of my posts, because if you understand that no matter what my body looks like right now, I am good enough, I am worthy, I am lovable as I am, doesn't mean you can't want to change your body. Just means we also have to embrace that you are enough as you are, regardless of what your physical form looks like. We have to let go of this limiting belief that because of what I eat, I'm going to become a better person, a more worthy person. Nope, you're just going to be a leaner person. And that's a cool goal to have, but it's not going to change your worthiness at the end of the day. Number 3, while weight loss can be a completely acceptable goal, I know there are people out there who don't believe that weight loss is a healthy goal. I am not one of those people. I have seen weight loss be very health promoting. However, how we go about losing weight is what dictates whether it's health promoting or harmful, whether it's short-term or sustainable. So it's not the weight loss goal itself that we can call bad or good. It's how we do it and why we do it. Safe, sustainable, health promoting fat loss doesn't happen fast. And I wish I could tell you it does, because trust me, I would have clients pouring in the door if that was the case. It doesn't. It's slow. It's not sexy, but that's sustainable. Number 4, we need to accept that reaching our goals will likely take longer than we want it to and longer than what diet culture says it will. This is magic. I know it sounds pretty simple, and I'm sure you're frustrated hearing it, but I can't tell you how many times I've seen clients self-sabotage their amazing progress because they're constantly comparing their journey to the journeys of others. They're constantly seeing their friends lose more weight because they're going about it in a quicker, faster way that's not as sustainable. We have to let go of the fact that this should happen in 30 days or this should happen in 21 days. It's going to take as long as it takes. And as long as you get to the outcome, which is healthy, safe, sustainable fat loss, who cares how long it takes? We have to let go of the timeline that we have up here because it's likely not a very realistic timeline. And I know this is hard to hear. I don't like hearing this either. Who likes being patient? But it's just the fact of the matter. I can't make it go any faster if we want it to be healthy and habit-based. And lastly, number 5, after we do all of that unlearning and dismantling, it's quite the process. Fat loss boils down to 2 simple things. Simple is not easy. 2 simple things: basic nutrition education and mindset mastery surrounding our emotional eating behaviors. Why do I make these choices when I know I'm not hungry? Why do I reach for food when everybody else has gone to bed and it's just me up late at night and I know I'm not hungry? Why do I feel like I'm constantly self-sabotaging whenever I see a little bit of progress? We need to understand that. 2 components. And here's the thing. Diet culture teaches you how to lose weight, but it stops at basic nutrition education. So you get, hey, here's a protein, eat these foods, vegetables are great for you. Probably isn't awesome to have Pop-Tarts for breakfast every day. By the way, exercise is really beneficial. Drink a lot of water, don't drink a lot of booze. You get that type of information, but it completely misses the mark for part 2. You get no mindset mastery. Diet culture cannot help you understand why you're eating emotionally and where that behavior started. It doesn't actually change your relationship with food. It changes your actions temporarily. This is why the results you create are also temporary. Yikes! Yikes! When we think about this, no wonder we're constantly on that hamster wheel of losing weight and gaining it back and losing weight and gaining it back, because it's not actually getting to the root of the issue. Let me share, I know I'm a nutrition nerd, bear with me for a second. Let me share some freaking amazing research with you. So there's a ton of research studies that have been done on emotional eating, and here's what the conclusions are. Emotional eating is consistently associated with weight concerns. Most adults who struggle with being overweight or obese have emotional eating struggles. Individuals who are overweight show less effective coping skills in response to negative emotions, which leads them to emotionally eat more often. So we have a correlation between excess body weight, weight that isn't helping me, that I don't want, that may actually be harming my health, and I don't know how to deal with this really hard thing in my life, so I'm just going to eat. I was never taught how to deal with this thing in my life, so let me go open the fridge. Correlation. And difficulties with weight loss, people who have tried and failed and struggled, have been associated with emotional eating. This is diet culture right here. I can't lose the weight successfully, and I don't know why. It's so frustrating. Is there something wrong with me? Nope. There's something wrong with the solution. Diet culture isn't helping you with your emotional eating. It's telling you what to eat and what not to eat and how much to eat, but it's not helping you with the underlying issue. Hello, this is what the research says, right? A huge theme, like we can't ignore this. So clearly, weight and emotional eating, very connected. And unless we address the emotional eating, not going to create those long-term results. Calories, which is just a unit of energy, can never be responsible for soothing or solving life's emotions. It's never been an effective strategy for me. How about you? Have you ever had a feeling, anything other than hunger, and been like, wow, food really took this stress away long term? Wow, food really made me feel less lonely long term. Not me, maybe in the short term. Until we address that internal garbage, the stuff that's going on deep down inside, and we find alternate and more effective coping strategies, we're always going to struggle with navigating life and our emotions without food. And food is everywhere. We live in a very food abundant environment. So I could snap my fingers and in 5 minutes, all of you could run out and grab food. In 5 minutes. right? Like food is too accessible. So if it's your only solution when you're having an emotion, no wonder excess weight is going to come with that. So I'm going to invite you to do some hard work with me today. I know you're up for it, but I want to just show you how this looks. And of course, this is going to be an abridged version in this little workshop, but this is the work that I do with all of my coaching clients. So let's dive in. I want you to think about one of the most common reasons that you reach for food that has absolutely nothing to do with hunger. So I want you to think, maybe you're sitting in front of the TV, you're on the couch, or maybe you're in your car, but you are not hungry. Your body is not saying, hey, I need energy. What is the feeling? What is the reason that you're reaching for food? Are you bored? Are you angry? Stressed? Maybe work just really got you worked up. Are you lonely? Are you sad? Are you tired? Are you something else? Maybe you're happy and you just want to extend or prolong that happiness feeling. In the chat box, what are you feeling when you're eating, when you're not truly hungry, but you find yourself in front of food? What might be helpful is to think about a specific occurrence. So maybe this was last night and you found yourself like elbow deep in the potato chip bag. And then you're like, what the heck am I doing? I'm going to this workshop tomorrow. This is why I need this. Think about a specific time. What were you feeling in that moment? Since we know that food is rarely an effective solution for anything other than true hunger, we're going to move forward with the understanding that using food to cope with whatever you were feeling didn't work out for you long term. Maybe you get that quick dopamine hit for a minute. You're like, this potato chip, like the salt, just so savory. Or if you're a sweet person like myself, you're like, man, chocolate really just hit the spot. You feel good. It's always going to taste delicious. But then afterwards, you're like, shit, I'm still super stressed. Why am I still so sad and lonely or depressed or whatever it may be? I want you to think back to that moment and ask yourself, if I was feeling lonely, if I was feeling bored, what would have helped me to address that feeling, that trigger, before I ever reached for food? For example, I find that I usually eat because I'm bored, and food is fun. Food is biologically designed to trigger the pleasure centers of our brain. So when I'm bored and I don't have anything else to do, or maybe I do have a lot of other things to do, but I'm trying to procrastinate those things, I might try to find something delicious, something palatable so that I get pleasure, because the work that I have to do is hard, right? That's not going to give me pleasure. That's hard work. So I want something fun. I want something stimulating, and I might reach for popcorn, or I might reach for frozen chocolate chip. We keep our chocolate chips in the freezer. I might dig some of those out. Well, if I'm bored, food's going to help for 5 minutes, but then I'm still going to be bored, or the work is still going to be there. So maybe I should go for a walk outside, take my dog out. Maybe I just need to be stimulated in some way. Maybe what I really need is to sit down and check off some things from my to-do list and then go have fun. Go do something that does stimulate the pleasure center of my brain, that doesn't rely on food. I want you to imagine that you did that. You went ahead and took the dog for a walk. You called a friend, you texted your kids. Do you think that helped longer term compared to eating? Did that help the loneliness? Did that help the boredom more effectively than the food did? Here are some examples that I am sharing with you. So if you're bored, a walk, right? Maybe a bath. Maybe I just need to take time to myself to read or journal. If I was sad, did I really need food, or did I need to cuddle with my fur babies, or like watch some funny YouTube videos or something? If I was angry, could I do some deep breathing, maybe some journaling, or maybe just work out, like get some of that rage out in a way that feels really good, that's actually going to be longer lasting? And if I was lonely, call a friend, text a friend, or do I need a quality like date night with my partner? Just something to really make me feel loved. So these are just alternate options that address the root of the issue. Can food be a part of your solution? Sure. Nobody's taking food away from you. You can always eat, but you are here because you've identified that eating likely isn't serving you if the problem isn't hunger. Now, if the problem is hunger, like belly growling, low energy, foggy head, the only thing that's going to solve that is food. We need food. Food is good. Calories are not the enemy, they're energy. But if the problem is not physiological and it's psychological, some emotional issue, what you need is to address that emotional issue with an emotional solution, meaning I need to feel less sad. I need to work through my sadness. Why am I lonely? What can I do about that? Is it something that I need to process because COVID has me so isolated? Like, there are things that we need to work through, because our default is to move around our feelings rather than work through them. And what I know, because I've been in therapy for many, many years, also have a psychology degree, is that when we don't address what's going on inside, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, the feeling, whatever it is that we're struggling with, the trigger, it's going to continue popping up until we address it. Or we're going to get sick from avoiding it. This is my life. I'm a perfect example of this. Didn't deal with struggle with my brother battling addiction, turn into an eating disorder. I just sort of tried to, I was going around it, right? Trying to control my calories, trying to control my exercise, not addressing this lack of control I felt internally. So eating disorder. So broke my hip, broke my back because my bone density was just Swiss cheese. So you can avoid for so long, and then your body will scream at you because you didn't do the work. I didn't do the work. Now, it doesn't have to be that severe. Clearly, I needed to learn the lesson a very hard way. For most of us, it's, wow, I'm really lonely. Like, maybe I'm not connecting with my partner. Maybe I feel like my kids just aren't reaching out as often as I'd like for them to. Maybe I don't have true, genuine friends. And you know what's always there for me? Food. So I continue finding myself going back to that instead of opening up dialogue with my partner and saying, hey, could we talk more often? Like, could we schedule a date night? Talk to your kids about getting together more frequently or having calls more frequently. Like, where's the loneliness stemming from? Is it because you're not actually okay with who you are as a person and you don't like being by yourself? Could be so many different things. And I don't want to play your therapist, but we have to figure out what we're feeling rather than just covering it up with food, because otherwise you're going to keep feeling that thing and you're going to keep covering it up with food and you're going to feel like garbage in your body because food is not actually the solution that you need. It's not actually helping. Questions to ask yourself when you're struggling and you find yourself numbing or avoiding. And we don't have to do this with food. We could do this with anything, right? People do this with alcohol. People do this with even like healthy behaviors. So I used to over-exercise. Sometimes people manipulate their diet. That can be a thing. Any type of substance. If you're avoiding, if you're numbing in any way, shape, or form, I want you to ask these 6 questions. Number 1, I want you to pause and just ask, what am I feeling in my body right now? Your body is your best feedback mechanism, and it talks to you. We're not very good at listening to it, but our bodies talk to us. What is my body feeling right now? Are you tired? Are you run down? Is something hurting? Do you have a headache because you slept poorly last night? What is your body telling you? 2, what emotions are present for you? Are you sad? Are you dissociating? You just feel numb. Are you angry, bored, stressed, whatever? What assumptions do you have about those emotions? Are you thinking, oh, this is bad, I shouldn't feel this way? Are you judging the emotion that you're having? Because that's a surefire way to get yourself to avoid it or to run around it. Or are you accepting of your emotion? Then I want you to go a step further and ask, where is this emotion stemming from? Why am I stressed? What's causing it? Why am I sad? What's going on in life? Where is the emotion stemming from? Number 5, how can you most effectively hold space for what you're feeling in that moment and move through it? Maybe you just need to sit with it. Guys, sometimes life sucks. Like, negative emotions are part of life. I recently was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the 8 core emotions. Do you know there's only one happy one? Like, joy is one happy emotion. The others are all slightly negative or like fear-based or anxious. It's okay not to be happy all the time. Just throwing that out there. So sometimes we just need to sit in the suck and just let it be. Like, I'm just sad today. Like, maybe today's not a great day for you. That's cool. Don't try to show up happy. Don't try to cover it up with food and pretend that it doesn't exist. hold space, just let it be. And then lastly, if you were to eat to soothe that emotion, how would it leave you feeling? So this is a Psych 101 tactic, and it's called future planning. You think through, if I did X, how would I feel? If I did Y, how would that feel? So if you eat, and you have lots of experience to pull from. So I don't want to hear like, I don't know, I'd have to do it to find out. No, you don't. You've been there, you've done this before. How did it go? So if you're feeling lonely and you eat, how do you feel in 5 minutes? Probably pretty good. Food's sitting really happy in your belly. How about 15 minutes? Now you're still lonely, you're regretting the food. How about 5 hours from now? How do you feel? And if you didn't eat, and instead you held space for the emotion, and you worked through it by calling a friend or texting your kids or going for a walk or spending some time doing self-care, how do you feel? Remember, food is always going to be there for you. So if you do that thing, I tell my clients this all the time, commit to doing the non-food related thing first. And if you still want food afterwards, nobody's taking it away from you. You can always go reach for the potato chips or the chocolate chips if you want to. 9 times out of 10, you find you don't need it because now you've actually dealt with the problem. The trigger was addressed, and now you don't need food. I want to talk to you about my 8-week group coaching program, the Mindful Eating Academy, because this is why I created MEA. MEA was designed after 10 plus years of coaching because I realized that this is the hole, the gaping hole in diet culture, the thing that is not being talked about, even though all the research points to we have to address the relationship with food, we have to address emotional eating. MEA does that. I created MEA to solve this problem. So what it does is it addresses your relationship with food and talks to you about how your mental health affects your food choices and how your environment affects your food choices. It's not just nutrition education. We talk about nutrition, protein, carbs, fats, fiber, how it affects your body, how it influences your body. But we talk a lot more about mindset mastery and helping you to rewrite your emotional responses. So let me give you another example. We didn't really talk about happiness. Growing up, whenever something good happened in our family, we celebrated with something sweet. Got a great grade on a report card. Awesome, ice cream. You had a really fun like graduation celebration. You got like a big achievement award. Awesome, you get to pick where we go for dinner. It was always a food related reward. The same thing happens sometimes when we're sad, right? Like think about any rom-com you've ever watched. What happens when the girl breaks up with the guy or the guy breaks up with the girl? Pint of ice cream, like girls' night, movie, binge on everything. From childhood, we are conditioned to have an emotion and solve it with food. Do that over decades and decades and decades and decades. And how strong do you think that emotional response is? Now it happens automatically. You don't even think about it. Happy, eat. Sad, eat. Bored, eat. Because you learned it, not just from your parents or your guardians, but from TV, from culture, everything. We have to repattern that. We have to create pattern interrupts. We have to identify, oh, wow, this isn't serving me anymore. So I need to create some space in the middle, which is what these questions are doing for you. They're creating space. So before you just knee-jerk react to the emotion and respond in a way that we know isn't serving you, now we get to pause and think through what's actually going to be beneficial. So I can have the emotions aren't going anywhere, but I actually get to confidently create change because I choose a different response. That takes time, it takes a lot of mental reprogramming. And so that's why I created MEA. If you want to dive into this deep mindset mastery and learn how to create your healthy habits, learn how to create patterns that do serve you, you need to be a part of MEA. Now, fun fact, all of my one-on-one coaching clients get access to MEA completely free because I want them to have every resource that I have. So if you're a coaching client, you can do this in conjunction with the work that you're doing with me one-on-one because it's only going to benefit your journey. If you're not a one-on-one coaching client, you can be, or you can just start with this 8-week group coaching program. Here's what you're going to learn inside. This is progressively designed. So we start off by identifying the barriers and the limiting beliefs that you have. Why do you keep self-sabotaging? What does self-sabotage look like for you? Why does your brain feel safe when you respond that way? Because remember, there's nothing wrong with you. Let me say that again. There's nothing wrong with you. Your brain is designed to keep you safe. If you have always learned that when you're sad or when you're stressed or when you're lonely, food is going to be there for you, you feel safe. You may feel like garbage in your body afterwards because you ate energy you didn't need. You ate foods that maybe weren't the highest quality foods. And now you're carrying excess weight that you don't want to be carrying or don't need to be carrying. But your brain, safety, because that's what you've always done. It's a very comfortable pattern for you. There's nothing wrong with you. We just have to identify why your brain feels safe and how we can continue making it feel safe, but with a more effective coping strategy. So we talk all about the science of creating behavior change, because you can change your actions temporarily, but like we talked about at the very beginning of this workshop, that means your results are going to be temporary. And I don't want that. I hope you don't want that. So if we want to create long-term success, we have to create habit change, true lasting behavior change. And that takes time. It takes reprogramming. It requires us to learn how to listen to our body. What is my body telling me? Which was question number 1, right? For those 6 questions that I asked you to think about. We also talk about how to structure your mental and physical environment in a way to support your success, because your environment is your biggest predictor of success. So this is just kind of like a fun little aside, but if you're doing this work and you're trying to navigate your feelings, your emotions in non-food related ways, do you think it's going to be easier or harder if you have chips and cookies and leftover brownies on your kitchen counter? Harder, because you've got this food staring you in the face. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the exercise, like I think it's called the marshmallow exercise, where they leave a toddler at a table with a marshmallow on his or her plate. And they're like, okay, I'm going to step out of the room. If you don't eat this, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. And most of the time they end up eating it because our brains just see what's in front of us. And we're like, okay, but I could have this marshmallow now. Why would I wait? We can't think about that future reward of getting 2 when it's staring us in the face. So in your kitchen, what's the first thing you could grab? Is it something goal supportive? What about your drive to work? Do you pass a million fast food restaurants? How about the other people in your life? Your friends, your family, do they encourage you to eat well? Do they encourage healthy habits, or do they encourage the opposite? All of these things are part of your decision-making, part of your behavior. So if we can shape some of them so that you have an easier time creating success, why would we not? And lastly, we understand your connection between mental health and food choices, which helps you to master the skill of mindful eating for life. I'm so passionate about this because I really created MEA from a place of asking myself, what do my clients need when they start working with me that they don't have? And it wasn't more nutrition science. It wasn't understanding more about the caloric deficit. Those are important things. Remember, nutrition education is one part of the 2-part formula. But the missing piece, it's this. It's the emotional stuff. So I offered this basically as a leg up for anyone wanting to create body composition change that lasts, wanting to improve their health, and they're not able to be successful. It's because they're missing this. So in 8 weeks, we work on this together. Every week we have a group coaching call and you get a lesson every day. This is truly amazing. And I don't want to spend too much time telling you all about it here because I know you came for the tangible takeaways and I hope you feel like you got some of that. But I want you to know that the doors to MEA open Monday. So if you're thinking this is for you, definitely sign up. I'll drop the link in the chat box to the MEA register page. Remember, if you're a coaching client, do not sign up. You get complimentary access to this. But if you are not a one-on-one coaching client and you're like, damn, this is the work that I need to be doing. This makes so much sense. And I don't know that I can do this alone, or at least it's going to take me a heck of a long time to figure this out alone. MEA is definitely the place for you to start.